Good morning, everybody. Dorothy here from CCMA. You're very welcome to our call. I'm saying morning and it's just gone 12, so I suppose it's afternoon. Welcome to our webinar, our judges call for the 2023 CCMA Irish Customer Contact and Shared Services Awards. Hi, Jessie. Hi, Naomi. Hi, Conor. Great to see some friendly faces and some well-known companies involved in the awards last year, and obviously delighted to see you're hopefully going to be involved again this year. I'm just going to give everybody a couple of minutes to join. I hope that's okay. Hi, Myra. Hi, Naomi. Just giving everybody a couple of minutes to join. Hi, Stephen. Before I kick into it. But while I'm doing that, I just want to make sure, I'm going to share my screen, but I just want to make sure that most of you have downloaded the awards information pack. So hopefully you can see that there. It's available to download on our website. If you go onto the website under awards, actually, if you go onto this page, you'll see it there for download. And this is the 2023 application pack that contains all of the information in terms of the categories and criteria, but also all of the information in terms of timings. So just sorry, a couple of housekeeping things I probably should have done at the start, just to obviously remind you that if you have any questions, you'll see there over on the right-hand side, that you can just put them in there or raise your hand, whichever you prefer to do. And obviously for anybody on the call that has more detailed questions that you might not want to go into on this call, just drop me an email, dorothy@ccma.ie, and happy to set up a call, because I know sometimes, I know there's a couple of companies there that maybe potentially are first time entrants, and you may not be sure on what's the best category, or whether you're eligible for a particular category. So any questions like that, just drop me an email. I'm more than happy to set up a call in the next few weeks. I'm around for the next while to go through that. So obviously to kick off and get into it, I have a short presentation I'll go through with you here, and I'll flick in and out probably between the various with the pack and stuff like that. So just bear with me a second while I just bring this into presentation mode. So as I say, we've launched the awards. The application pack is available on the website to download, and we're delighted once again to have WorkAir joining us as sponsors of this year's awards, the gold sponsors of the overall awards. The date for the awards ceremony is the 17th of November, and it's a Friday this year, so we're a little bit different this year. So the purpose of this call is to go through the categories and the criteria. For those who entered last year, we've had minimal changes, to be honest, but we have introduced one new category, and we've sort of taken out a category, which I'll get into in a couple of minutes, but that's subsumed in with the contact centre. So just, we previously had a shared services centre of the year, and we've now just included that in the category for all the various sizes of contact centre. So it's now contact centre or shared services centre of the year, small, medium and large. So as I say, I'm going to go through the categories very briefly, talk to you about the judging process, give some hints and tips, and give you some dates for your diaries. So that's just the normal housekeeping. As I said there, on the right hand side is the chat box. So I suppose why enter, and delighted, as I say, to see so many companies that were involved last year and were winners last year or were highly commended last year. But very much, as you know, these are the industry awards. There's no similar awards in Ireland for contact centres and CX operations, and it's very much about giving recognition for the fabulous work that's been done by many of your organisations and obviously individuals within the organisation. So from a CCMA perspective, it is really about showcasing what is great about the industry in Ireland, but it's also giving you, as members of the association, and the awards are open to non-members, obviously, but it's also giving you the opportunity to get recognition for the work that you're doing. And obviously for global organisations, it's great for the Irish part of the operation to be recognised, but for Indigenous companies and for companies who provide services to other members, it's great to get that accolade that you've been recognised by your industry peers for the excellent work that you are doing, and maybe for some innovative things you are doing in the area of technology, etc. It's also hugely important to give recognition to teams and to staff, and we know everybody's has been having a difficult time and challenging times with the economy and everything else that's been going on in the last while. So really it is about giving a boost to the organisation and to the individuals. And we also know that many companies operate your own internal awards programs, and this often then can be the stepping stone to, if it's an individual or a team or particular project to giving it, you know, wider recognition and putting forward those internal winners to the Irish awards. So as you know, we have entrants from all different categories of companies: small, medium, large, public sector, private sector, international, and across the range of industry sector: finance, telco, healthcare, etc. And sorry that I skipped the one there. You know, I know certainly remember some of the companies who joined and entered in previous years, and 3 is the one that jumps out to me that would have won customer experience, best customer experience. They have then used those wins to spring them, board them into European awards, and they obviously won a big the ECCSA Customer Experience Award last year. So it can really be a big stepping stone to other awards as well. And obviously, last but not least, have something to look forward to and something to celebrate. And it's always nice to have something ahead of the Christmas madness to do. So we have 17 categories, and as I say, the categories haven't changed from last year with one exception in the additional one, but I've sort of split them out here between people, processes. So we have Customer Service Advisor of the Year, Team Leader of the Year, Support Professional of the Year, Manager of the Year, Team of the Year, and Support Team of the Year. So all pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I would say is on the Manager Professional of the Year, this really is for the senior executive with responsibility for the overall CX operation, and that's something that we really push. And I know sometimes it can be difficult to get senior people to put themselves forward, but that really is what that award is for. So certainly recognize that in terms of looking at the person you're potentially submitting. And as I say, if you want to give me a call or drop me an email, we can talk through it. And then Team of the Year is really your front-facing customer service, sales team, technical support team. And Support Team of the Year are, you know, the very important, you know, back office. We sometimes call them teams, but they might be your HR team, your coaching team, your training and development team. So any team, IT support team, that is there involved workforce planning in helping the operation, the CX operation, to function. Then in terms of processes and channels, we obviously give an award for Best Training and Development Programme, and also we have 2 technology awards. The first one is for the transformation programme, so that's sort of a big, you know, project that you may have undertaken in terms of putting in a new platform, new systems, new technologies. And the second one is more for tactical projects. So again, you know, for the transformation program, more than likely you've worked with a partner who's provided the platform, and that's absolutely fine to enter that type of program and change. Tactical projects sometimes can be a project that you yourselves have developed internally. So you may not have a technology partner, you may have a technology partner, and that's really where you've introduced a piece of technology, or, you know, you've introduced a change to your processes that has really had a significant impact on the operation. And that's what that category is looking to recognise. And then use of digital channels. As you know, this is an award that AIB had their name on for many years, and we're very successful in. And it really is how you're now, you know, omni-channel, digital, how you're now supporting your customer needs through all of the various digital channels that are available to us. Then in terms of operations, and sorry, that shouldn't be there, Shared Services Centre of the Year, we have now taken that out to include, as I said, down with the 3 small, medium and large categories. Obviously, Outsourced Partnership of the Year is a huge one, and I know we've some of our BPO partners on this call as well. And that's really where you, with your partner, enter this category to show, you know, how successful the partnership is, the strength of the partnership, you know, maybe share some innovations with us that you've undertaken. And you know, for that one, we really do ask that both the outsourced partner and the client are involved in the submission. And again, when we get to the presentation stage, which I'll come on to shortly. And then this is the new one for this year that hopefully will be of particular interest to some of the people on this call. So as you know, we've always had best customer experience, and it's, you know, as I say, 3 has been very successful in that category for the last number of years. So that now has been divided up because we've recognized that, you know, we have many members that are in the public, voluntary and not-for-profit sector, and it can be hard for those types of organizations because they have different challenges, different budgets, different technology. So it can be really hard for them to compete in against the, you know, the much larger organizations who obviously have a different footprint in terms of how they can, you know, support their customers. So we really want to recognize companies in the public, voluntary and non-profit sector. They may use the term client rather than customer. We try to allow for that in the criteria, but it really is to give recognition to those who are supporting, you know, different client bases within the Irish market and doing it from a public, volunteer, non-profit sector. We've already had a number of queries from this from some BPO companies who are working with companies in the voluntary non-profit sector, whether that's eligible or public sector, for them to enter with their client, and they are absolutely eligible to do that. So we'd be delighted to see you there. And then, as I say, our big awards of the night are the best contact centre of the year, and we've encompassed shared services centre of the year, small, medium, and large. Small is 1 to 50, medium is 50 to approximately 200, and large is 200 plus. And then the last category, which was a new one for last year, is best employee engagement. And again, I know some of the guys from Covalent are on the call who won this award last year, and this is a super category, and we got a great response to that last year, so we hope to see lots of entries again this year. So as you know, we look for you to follow the criteria, and I'm just going to jump out of this for a second and go into the pack just for companies new to the call. So there's the listing of all our award categories, and I'm just going to show you by way of example one category. I obviously won't go through all 17 categories with you because I know it's a Friday, and for those very familiar with it, you'll be well aware of how we approach this. So for every category, we give an overview of what the award is about. So I've obviously picked the first one here, which is best training and development. So we tell you what the judges are looking for. So in this context here, we're looking for an innovative training and development program that has had a real impact on the performance and results of the operations. We then give you an example of what the potential type of entries can be. So it can be internal in this case, or it can be a program delivered in collaboration with an external partner. And then we say, why or what some of the criteria are in terms of why the award will be given to a particular entrant. And in this case, we say demonstrated practices and innovative methodologies and thinking in both the design, implementation, and taking into account current and future needs of the operation. And then we give you an advice on how the criteria we want you to address. So very much like an exam question format in terms of these are the questions we have, and can you please provide the information in this format. And as you know, in every category we have a word count, and we are very strict on that word count because we need to be fair to all organizations. And in previous times we have had where companies maybe not intentionally have completely ignored the word count, and we do have to go back and say, look, if you come in at 5,000 words, we really the judges will can't grade it in that respect. But it's also, we need to have a level playing pitch. So we are very strict on that word count. So please do observe that when you're putting your submissions together. And I know it can be challenging in some of the categories, but we are more than happy, the judging panel are more than happy that we do give sufficient space and words to get the information that they need to make their decisions on the various categories. So again, just in this one, we show you the criteria. So every category has 5 headings. We show you clearly the marks for each of the 5 headings. And within each heading, we ask you to provide certain information. So in this case, I'm going to jump to criteria 2 here, which is design and delivery for 25 marks. And we ask you to describe the process involved in designing the program, then outline the delivery methodology and explain the assessment process. So what I would always remind people is that if there's a particular aspect to a question that you have not done this activity or you don't have information on, don't ignore the question, just let us know why you can't answer it. So in this case, and I know this would never be the case, but for instance, you had a training program that you didn't have an assessment process, you would need to have that heading in there, but say we did not have an assessment process for the following reason, or our assessment process was of this form. And so from a judging perspective, they look at all those questions and criteria and they look for those headings, and if the answer isn't there, you're obviously potentially going to lose marks. So just be very clear in addressing each of the criteria that we ask you to address. So as I say, I'm not going to go through each of the 17 categories, but I am just going to jump into this one, which is the new one for this year, for those on the call that might be interested. Sorry, the next one is the new one, which is the best customer experience in public, voluntary and non-profit sector. So as you see, what we're talking about is somebody who will have a demonstrated commitment to understanding and responding to customer needs in order to drive an improved end-to-end service delivery model. And we know in the public sector and the voluntary and non-profit, this can be quite challenging, and that's what we want to recognize, and we want to support that part of the industry. So the criteria are reasonably similar, but we are recognizing that there are various constraints in terms of technology perhaps, or budgets, and also just in terms of how you you can deliver those services. So hopefully, again, anybody on the call that's going to enter that category that has any particular questions, please do come back to me on that if there's anything that you feel you might not be able to provide the information for, or there's any confusion around the criteria. And we absolutely recognize this is our first year with this category, so there'll be learnings for all of us in this, but we really are keen to recognize this part of the industry. So just to give an example of another type of one, and this is the only other one I'll go through, are the individual ones. And you'll see for the individual ones, we significantly dropped the word count to 1,500. And again, we're more than happy, given our experience over the years, that 1,500 words is sufficient for us to get an understanding of the individual you're putting forward, and a little bit about obviously their role, their responsibilities, their achievements, and obviously their future plans, etc. So again, for this one, you'll see 5 criteria, and this carries over to team leader, support professional, manager. So we look for a profile of the individual, a little bit of their career history. We don't need their CV, but it really is just to give us an understanding and be able to paint a picture, I suppose, of the person you're putting forward. We would assume if you're putting somebody forward, they're one of your high performers, and so therefore we would ask for evidence of that in terms of how they have performed versus maybe other members of teams. But we would also look to see, how they've involved, how they work within a team. Great to have some sort of idea of customer focus. If there's some customer compliments or customer testimonials, great. They're not necessary. If they're not there, don't worry about it. But also it's good to see, generally people put forward in this category will be involved in potentially other initiatives within the operation. And we also, again, like to know a little bit about their personal development. And again, not everybody is involved in educational or extra activities outside of the offices, due to various commitments or whatever. So again, rather than ignore that criteria, just maybe give us a little bit of information on that. Great. I'm having a look. I don't think I have any questions so far. No, we're good. Great. So let me keep going here. I'm just going to jump back to the presentation. So in terms of what happens, so we've gone through an example of a particular couple of categories there in the criteria. So again, generally you will put your submission together, we will receive it, and we will allocate it to various judges. And the judges are given a scoring matrix based on the criteria, and then they have a certain number of weeks to judge, to score. They bring it back to our chairperson of the judging panel, who collates all of the information, and based on that we generate our shortlist. So for a certain number of categories, we have online interview. I know it says telephone interview, but it's either Zoom or GoTo or one of those that we use. And what we will do is we will come back to you and say, Dorothy has been shortlisted. And we try and give you as much notice as possible. Sometimes just because judges' availability can be tight, we're quite limited in the windows that we have available, but we will absolutely try and facilitate in whatever way we can. So at this point in time, we're saying we are hoping for those interviews, as it were, to take place between either the week of the 16th of October or the 23rd, or somewhere between those two periods. And again, just for people on the call who are new to the awards, these really are, a short, in particular for the advisor, because I know sometimes in advance people can be a bit nervous and feel like it's like doing an interview. It really is quite informal. It's normally 2 judges who will have had obviously read the submission and will have a number of questions, and it's really just an opportunity for advisors who are shortlisted to tell us a little bit more about themselves, and for us to find out a little bit more about them. So we try and keep it informal and as stress-free as possible, and it really, as I say, is an informal chat. Similar to team leader and support professional, it will be 2 judges. Again, they will generally have experience in terms of being up, have come through the contact center industry themselves. And as you'd imagine, with team leader, it's trying to get a flavour of how a person manages their team, their particular, I suppose, what they've done, that they've got this recognition to be put forward for this award. And it really is very much about giving recognition and getting an understanding of how they've managed their team. And we're conscious since COVID that the role of team leaders have changed significantly for any companies that are operating hybrid or fully remote. So we do recognise that, some of these roles may have changed slightly in the last couple of years. So it really is just to get an understanding of the individual. And the same with support professional. The manager one, obviously, we generally have 3 judges on that one. It's slightly different, and again, it's senior executives from the industry, and that again is maybe a slightly longer. For customer service advisor, team leader, support professional, it's generally a 10-15 minute call. For the manager, it might be about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But again, we will work as best we can with the schedule of all the individuals. And again, for the other categories where there's a short list, so all of the individuals have a short list with a presentation, and then these are the other categories that also have a presentation, as it were, an online presentation. So all of the 3 categories for customer shared services centre of the year, again, they will generally be 25 minutes, 30 minutes max, and we invite you to bring up to 3 of your colleagues with you, on 3 in total, and there'll generally be 3 judges. The same will apply for the new customer experience one, for the private and public. We've just summarized it there, and similar for outsourced partnership. And again, with outsourced partnership, we ask, if possible, for you to obviously have your partner, your client involved in that call. And also then the last one is best use of technology transformation program. And as I'm sitting here, I realized I haven't included best employee engagement, so that should be there too. So I'll update the presentation after this, apologies. So that's another category that we have a short presentation for as well. And again, our plan is for those calls to be the 16th week of the 16th to 23rd of October. So presentations take place. We then have a judges meeting, and the judges meeting is where all of the judges meet together, and we actually do that in person. And we talk about the different categories, criteria, and we make our decisions, and often we'll have highly commended. And our plan is to have all of that done by the 1st of November this year. So we're a little bit earlier this year because the award ceremony is earlier. It's a week earlier this year. So we would hope to be in a position to come back to you no later than Wednesday, the 1st of November. And as those of you who've been involved before, you will hear back, depending on how many categories you're entering, you'll hear back at different stages. For those requiring, a presentation, you'll hear back sooner whether you've been shortlisted. And for those categories that don't require a presentation, like for instance the teams of the year, support team, that'll be the last one you'll hear back on. So sometimes I'm coming back to my point of contact with information on 2 out of 4 categories they entered, and maybe 2 weeks later I'm coming back with the information on the last 2 in terms of being shortlisted. So in terms of hints and tips, we would strongly recommend that you start working on the submissions now. I know we're getting into holiday season, or we're in the middle of holiday season, and we've brought forward the date for the applications this year. So it's actually, I'm going to say it wrong now, but it's either the 6th or the 7th of September, and I'll have it a couple ahead. But so what we find is companies that put a team together, and actually I met a member company the other evening, and they were saying they'd already had their team. They were working on the categories and shortlisting what categories they were going to enter, but it just spreads the work. So rather leaving it on one person's shoulders, I think it's great. And I think even with companies working hybrid or remotely, it is a great way of bringing people from different parts of the organization together on a particular project. And in this case, the project is putting through the entries. Obviously follow the criteria, absolutely adhere to the word count. We do like pictures. We don't need an avalanche of pictures, but it is great, say, for the individuals to have a picture of the individual, for the team to get, it just gives a bit of an insight on the team. Present performance statistics, and again, I'll go through the time period. Actually, I'll do that now, because in this document here, you'll see at the very end we give the various terms and conditions around it. So, sorry, let me go back up slightly there. So what we are saying is that the period for performance data is from the 1st of August 2022 to the 31st of July 2023. Now, often people would say to me, well, we're working on it now, so we're going to work on the data up till the end of June and that's absolutely fine. Just explain that to us. But just, we obviously don't expect data any later than the 31st of July. And we do recommend that you present it in graphical format, or how you would normally do within your own organization. And sorry, yes, it is the Wednesday, the 6th of September is the closing date at 5 p.m. So let me just jump back to the presentation for a moment. Again, for companies who have entered in previous years, we would say, even if you won this category last year, or you were highly commended in a particular category last year, so if you want to sort of build on the story you told us last year, so you don't, you know, you might just want to highlight particular trends. So you might like to say, well, in the last 6 months we've done this and it has had the following impact on, you know, net promoter score, employee engagement scores, whatever. So very much, you know, present the data graphically if you can, and just highlight what trends you want us to or the judges to understand, and any particular features. Very much tell us why you think you should win. So it is very much about telling a story. And the other thing I would say is, don't worry if you're entering numerous categories that you're repeating yourself, because different judges judge different categories. So don't assume if you've entered team of the year and then you've entered contact center of the year and you've entered best customer experience, that, you know, the same judge will be reading all three, because they won't. So, you know, don't worry about using, you know, the introduction in terms of your strategy or your culture that you've used in one entry in another entry, because different sets of eyes look at all, and it really depends just on what companies have entered what categories, the judges' areas of expertise, etc. Avoid in-house jargon. We say this every year and we still have challenges around this. So again, a lot of companies have acronyms that you use that obviously mean a lot to you internally within the organization, but for people on the outside, it's difficult to understand. So, you know, some companies actually give us a glossary, especially some of the technology companies. So if you need to do that, please do. Or else just explain it the first time you use it so the judge will clearly understand. And absolutely, if at all possible, and I'm conscious sometimes there's commercially sensitive information, but if you can get someone outside your business to read it and check for clarity and understanding, please do. Again, just, it's, you know, sometimes you can be so involved in putting a submission together, and it's so, you know, it's obviously your business, is what you do day in, day out, but for somebody externally, we may not understand all of the aspects of it that you're trying to share with us. So it's just useful to get somebody separated from all of it to have a read through and say, well, that bit there doesn't make sense, can you explain it a little bit more easily? And you know, as I say, tell your story and why you should win. So the dates for your diary, which are the crucial dates for all of you, the closing date for entries is 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 6th of September. I will be getting in touch with all of you over the coming weeks just to ask you to let me know what categories you hope to enter. Now, I know sometimes at this time of the year, a company might say to me, oh, we're going to enter 4 categories. And then as it gets nearer, you've run out of time, or there's been various business challenges. And you might say to me, oh, well, actually, we're only going to enter 2, which is absolutely fine. But the reason I get in touch is for me to understand what categories, what companies would be in what categories, and therefore to help me in terms of allocation as judges, because once they come in on the 6th of September, we try and get them out to the judges very quickly. And on the judging, just to say, all of the judges sign non-disclosure agreements. Obviously, they have to declare any conflicts of interest. So for instance, if it's an independent consultant that has worked with a particular company that enters a category, they cannot then judge that category. So we are always very careful in terms of conflicts of interest, but we're also very careful in terms of, we appreciate you're sharing very sensitive and commercially sensitive data, which we treat with absolute respect and confidentiality. And the judges receive the entries to score them, and then afterwards all of that information is removed. The online presentations, as I say, will take place the week commencing the 16th and the 23rd. The final full shortlist will be announced on the 1st of November, and the awards ceremony is Friday, the 17th of November. So I'm trying to look at my watch here. Yeah, I've sort of got through that in the 30 minutes or so. So I'm not sure if there's any questions at this stage. Please let me know if there are, and happy to answer them. I'm going to flip back, if it's okay, to the, bear me a second, sorry. I'm going to go back to this is where my laptop decides to freeze. Bear with me a moment. Sorry about this. I was actually going to go back to the application pack just to show it to you, but for some reason my good old computer has, oh, there we go. Okay, give me this one back. So yeah, so you'll see, sorry, at the end of the application pack, you will see do's and don'ts. So they're pretty similar to what I've just run through there. And, you know, very much the don'ts: don't ignore the criteria, don't go over the word count, and do include material, and do not leave it till the last minute. And we do appreciate how much work goes into these submissions, and we want everybody to put their their best foot forward. So I would strongly recommend that, you know, you start working on them and have your team together in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner, if you haven't already done it. And often what we find is you divide out the different responsibilities to the team, and it just divides the workload up for anybody. Sinead, I'll come back. I'll probably get in touch with everybody in about 2 weeks' time. So anybody on the call today, I'll get in touch with in about 2 weeks' time just to find out what categories you want to enter. But obviously, just to say, it, you know, if you on that contact you say we're only entering 2, and you come back to me 4 weeks later and say, oh, we actually got the bandwidth to enter 3, that's great. We'd be delighted. So it really just is to give me some sort of idea of the volume of entries and for judging requirements, etc. And also it's just great for me to have one point of contact for each company. So that's the person I can go back to when we're announcing the shortlist. So it's really good if you can provide me with one point of contact who will be the person who's sort of managing the process internally in your organization for the awards, because that way then, as I say, they can be the person I go back to with any messages that I have at any stage. Great. So I don't know if there's any more questions. Obviously really looking forward to starting to see the entries coming in, and really looking forward to November and an industry night out. And as I say, any questions that you have in the meantime, drop me an email or give me a call. Absolutely happy to answer any queries that you have. And hope everybody has a lovely summer, and happy writing and happy storytelling for the next few weeks for the awards. And thank you so much for taking your time to join the call this morning. And a recording of this call will be available. I hope to have it available probably early next week, and I'll let you know when it's there. And thanks, Connor. And so Veronica, just your question there, are all staff included in counting determining whether the organisation, no, it is just the contact centre staff. We generally just work with the contact centre staff. But again, if you have any queries around that, just drop me an email or give me a call, and I can talk it through with you just to make sure which would be the best category for you to enter. Absolutely happy to do that. Great. So thanks again, everybody. Have a lovely weekend, and we hopefully will talk to you over the coming weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.